today's lecture, we are going to start with our third unit, part 3, in which the very first topic is, how to write conditional statements in, Scala. And the conditional statements we can write through three ways. We can write if statements, we can write the combination of if with else. We can combine it with, so many if and else inside, other if and else statement. So this is called nested if and else statement. So I'm hoping that you are already aware about the nested if and else statement. You might have studied C or C++ earlier, so I'm assuming that you are aware. Anyways, we will be discussing the nested if else statement as well. Okay, so without any further ado, let's start with, what is a conditional statement. So when there is a program counter of CPU which would execute the current statement of your program. Okay, uh, so when the next position of your program counter is basically the currently the CPU is executing to which statement. Okay, so which statement will be executed by the program counter will be the present statement, but sometime moving to the next statement is dependent on a condition. So when such scenario is there, okay, when switching to the next statement is dependent on the conditional value, okay, then the program counter may switch to either of the portion of your code. Okay, it can go inside the if block, it can go inside the else block. So such situation are actually the conditional statement, where you have a choice to execute one block, or if this is not true, the condition is not true, then you have a choice to execute else block call. Okay, then post executing if and else block, you have a choice. You actually don't have a choice to execute the next statement. This is inevitable to move to the next statement if your if is not breaking the code. Okay, so if your code is not breaking, okay, if you have not written any break statement inside if or else, then it is inevitable that your program counter would come to the next statement after if or else code. Okay, so this is basically the theoretical aspect of conditional statement. If we look at what is if statement, so in case of if statement, we are not focusing on the else part, we are simply focusing on if this is true. Okay, if this condition is true, if age is greater than 18, then execute it. If it is not, then simply come to this statement. So if, let's say, this is line number 1, this is line number 2, okay, this is line number 3, okay, this is line number 4, and this is line number 5. So as you can see, the line 1 will be executed, line 2 will be executed, but line 3 is optional. Okay, it will be executed when the if would have the true condition. Okay, if age is greater than 2, then only execute third statement, otherwise go to fourth statement or fifth statement. So this is, we are covering about the if statement only. We are not discussing about what it is, what is the else statement or so. So if we want to know what is, the theoretical definition of if statement is, the Scala if statement is used to test condition in Scala. If block executes only when the condition is true, otherwise execution of if block is skipped. Okay, otherwise it will not go inside the if block. If we talk about if else, then we are covering about this part also. Earlier we have covered this only. Okay, so if the condition is true, the okay, one arrow would also come. Okay, why one arrow would also come? Because let's say if condition is not true, okay, then and else is not there, then the program counter would come to the next statement. But in case of if else, if if is not true, then it will execute the else block. So this is the concept. It will not go directly to the next statement, but in case of first one, it will go. In case of if else, it will either it will execute this code or this code. Okay, and if you have not used break statement in both of the blocks, then it will definitely execute your next statement. Okay, so if we go by the definition of Scala if else statement test, the condition is same as earlier. If the condition is true, if block executes, otherwise else block will be executed. Okay, so I have written the same code except this one. Okay, except this else. So if this condition is true, then this block will be executed. If it is not true, then this will be executed whatsoever you have written. Okay, and after executing either one of the block, the program counter eventually would come to print this statement. The third one is nested one. So what is nested? When you have so many if else statements inside if else statement. So I have taken the same example. uh, the age is greater than 18. Okay, and I have simply created another if and else inside this if. So these if else statements are inside this one. So this block will be executed only when age is greater than 18. Inside that, if age is 25 less than 25, so it would say age is less than 25. If it is not, then age would be greater than 25. If it is true, then this block will not be executed. If this is false, then this outer else will be executed, but the nested one will only be executed when this condition is true. Okay, so if we go by the definition, then the Scala if statement tests the condition. This is same for all. If the condition is true, if block execute, otherwise else block will be executed, and if further nested conditions are there, then the same rule will be applied. Okay, on the nested else also. I have included the output as well of each program. Okay, so this is today's lecture is only dedicated for the conditional statement. So far we have seen the theoretical aspect of this lecture, but what I'll do, I have created a program for all these conditional statements, and I'll execute those programs as well. Okay, so I have combined all these statements in just one program. So this is the program actually I have created. I have created a main method. Okay, you always remember that we pass the argument as an array of a string. If we are not returning anything, then use unit statement. Okay, the unit data type, it would show that you are supposed to print something inside the method. So I'm taking two values, okay, from the keyboard, from the user, and I'm passing those values into the max function. Okay, so max function would receive those two values. It is also returning nothing, because here in this method we are supposed to print something, not return something. So if we talk about if statement, then it is simple. We are checking if b is greater than a, then we are saying b is maximum. Okay, so we are setting b as a maximum value. We have covered only one block, if block. If we cover the else block as well, then if b is greater than a, then b would be max. If a is greater than b, then a would be the max. So this is quite complete statement. Okay, if we are finding the max value between these two, if we come to the nested one, we are checking that if b is greater than a, it is fine, but b should not be equal to 0. In case, because we are checking that whatever the number they are, either b or a, the maximum number should not be 0. Okay, so it is similar to that, but just to try the nested if and else, we have tried this code. So this if and else will be only be executed when this condition is true. If this condition is false, then the program counter would come to 34 line or else statement, then the maximum number would become a. Okay, so if I execute it, so to execute a program, Scala C, program name is unit 3.1. So So this is our program, so we compile it. Okay, and to execute this program, it will create n class object of this name. Okay, I have already told you that whatever the object you would use, the you know the class name would be created according to the object you have taken. Okay, we have only used one object, so to execute it, simply write Scala and then your object name. So your object name we can copy from here, and then we can, yes. So it is asking choose a and b value as an integer, so it means the program counter is at this, and it halted there and asking for the values. So I'll take 1 as a and 2 as a b. So everywhere 2 is returned as a, not returned, displayed as a maximum number. So either of these statements, conditional statement is printing 2 as a maximum, because this is the logic return over here. So these are main or important conditional statements. You can you can implement the same code at your PC as well. Probably after next lecture, I'll take your I'll provide you a task, your lab task, in which you would be using these conditional statement as well, and also what I'll be teaching in the next lecture. I'll make a combined practical of both of these lecture, and I'll make a task, lab task for you guys, and you are supposed to include this aspect and the another what we are going to study in the next lecture. Both the aspects you have to combine, you have to practice in for that lab task. Okay, so that is all for today's lecture. Okay, just for an overview, we have seen what is conditional statement. This is actually unit 3 or part 3 of your course. We have seen if else if statement, we have seen if else statement, we have seen nested if else statement. Okay, so this is all for today's lecture. If you have any doubt, you can comment down below to this video. Okay, so thank you so much guys, and